Hi, I'm Matt Zahn. Thanks for watching CBS and Chicago. It's a big night for Bears fans. The NFL schedule is out, and we've got a lot to talk about, including when on that schedule we may see top pick Justin Fields make his debut. 670 The Score's Bear reporter Chris Emmett will join me momentarily to talk about that and more. But the schedule isn't the only reason it's a special day for Bears fans. Single game tickets went on sale like right now at 8:30. Of course, it means a little more this year after entire season at Soldier Field without fans. Now, we still don't know exactly how many people will be allowed in. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said earlier this offseason he expects to have full stadiums. The Bears, in their release tonight, say ticket limits and prices will vary by game. And if full capacity isn't allowed or a game is for some reason canceled due to COVID-19, fans who bought their tickets on Ticketmaster will automatically receive a full refund. Now let's get to that schedule that includes 4 primetime games, starting off with the first Sunday night game of the season at the Los Angeles Rams, facing their new QB, Matthew Stafford, of course, very familiar to Bears fans. The Bears follow with their home opener in Week 2 against the Bengals, with games against the Browns and Lions after that. An exciting one for fans looking to travel in Week 5, yes, at Las Vegas. That's a 4:05 Central Time kickoff, and that's the first of 4 games scheduled to be here on CBS Chicago. The first Packers matchup is at home in Week 6. Probably against Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. Another CBS game in Week 7 and another fun one in Tampa against Tom Brady and the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. Now, you may notice that this whole schedule is rotating road, home, back and forth. First time that's happened in franchise history, and that continues with the 49ers. And then at the Steelers on Monday Night Football. After the bye, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens come to town for a noon kickoff on CBS, followed by another Thanksgiving appearance for the Bears. That's their third Turkey Day game in the last 4 years. The final leg of the schedule that for the first time adds that 17th game includes the Cardinals, a Sunday night battle at Lambeau, followed by a Monday night Soldier Field showdown against the Vikings. They then close things out at the Seahawks the day after Christmas, home against the Giants for another CBS game at noon, and they wrap things up in Week 18 on January 9th at Minnesota. I also want to mention Mitchell Trubisky and the Bills. They come to Soldier Field for one of the Bears' 2 home preseason games on Saturday, August 21st. They also host the Dolphins in their exhibition opener and close the preseason at Tennessee. And I'm sure we'll get plenty of time to see top pick Justin Fields in that preseason. But when will he make his regular season debut? That's one of the questions I posed to 670 The Score Bears reporter Chris Emmett.
You know, it's tough. I think you could set the betting odds probably over under like after Week 4 going into Week 5. That's when the transition took place from Glennon to Trubisky in 2017. But you look at the schedule. Do you want to throw him to the Wolves at that point of the year when Week 5 you go to Las Vegas to play the Raiders, and you have the Packers, the defending Super Bowl champion Buccaneers, the 49ers, and the Steelers on Monday night? I think you're probably looking more so at after the Week 10 bye. You can at least get him more acclimated. You have plenty of time to kind of settle into the season. I think that benefits everybody better. It's just a matter of now, what's going to happen first? Is it going to be Field showing his true readiness, or is it going to be Andy Dalton failing in this spot? Typically, it's the veteran starter failing, and then the young backup takes over. It's going to be difficult to set up a true easy transition here.
Yeah, that was something I noticed when I looked at the schedule. It seems easy out of the gate. Do you think there's any chance we see Fields to start the season?
I won't bet against it. I mean, look, this is a guy who has played at the highest level, 20-2 at Ohio State, took the Buckeyes to the national championship game before they ran into that Bama buzzsaw. He's proven. Like, this isn't the Trubisky scenario where he started 13 games in North Carolina and didn't really show you much there. Like, you know what Justin Fields is, and you feel confident about what he can become. It's different once you get to the NFL, when you have to learn, how to command a huddle, an NFL offense, read more complex defenses, et cetera, et cetera. But that said, this kid has everything you wanted a quarterback to handle the challenges at this next level. So I know the Bears have said Andy Dalton is their starter, but I think there's a chance that come training camp, Field shows he's indeed ready. Matt Nagy, John DeFilippo, everybody in this coaching staff that says they'll know when Justin Fields is ready. That could come in August instead of September, October, November.
Now, obviously, the drafting of Justin Fields sort of overshadowed everything else going on with the Bears. I feel like people's attitudes flipped the night they drafted him. Does this team, whether or not Fields is out there or not, have enough to compete this season the way it's currently constructed?
I think so. I mean, like it's consecutive 8-8 seasons. I don't see them significantly worse than that. I don't see them much better than that either. Like, I mean, Fields was their biggest addition this offseason, and that's an addition more toward the long term than it is to this season. Their biggest additions internally would be whether Robert Quinn can regroup and be the pass rusher they signed him to be in his second year. You go down the line, Eddie Jackson, whether he can become that playmaking safety in the secondary who changes a game, whether you have good health on the defensive front, and whether you're able, of course, to establish an offense. I think Matt Nagy has good intentions trying to establish kind of a unique, diverse running game with now these 3 or 4 different running backs in the backfield, but it's just a matter of whether they can all make it work. And it's a tough schedule this year. So I see them closer to that 8-1, if you will, or I don't know. They'll find a way to be around that 500 mark.
So obviously we have rookie minicamp coming up this weekend, followed by OTAs, then leading into minicamp, training camp. You're going to be up at those practices. Besides, obviously, the quarterback situation with Fields and Dalton, what are you most looking forward to seeing?
I'm excited to see what Tevin Jenkins can do. Is that guy who looks like he's going to be that starting left tackle now. I mean, they released Charles Leno, clearing room for Tevin Jenkins. Juan Castillo, the offensive line coach, said today that Jermaine Ifedi's the right tackle. So it's all on the rookie now to handle this big role as that blindside tackle. I'm eager to see how he looks in pads, how that dominance kind of, I know there's not much contact going on, but what he can do, kind of the technique that he has. And then beyond that, with some of these other guys, I mean, Daz Newsome's a guy I'm really intrigued by. Day 3 pick out of North Carolina. I think he's got that speed to kind of take the top off of defense. He's got some big-time intrigue for me. So that's a player I'm keeping my eye on as well.
Yeah, and Ryan Pace said he wasn't done making additions to this roster. Where do you think they still have their biggest need?
I think they still need a nickel corner. I mean, Buster Skrine's gone after a couple years as the starter there. They still haven't quite solidified that spot. In big picture cornerback, I think Desmond Trufant looks like he's going to be the starter. I won't count out Kindle Vildor, who was a rookie last season who played well in that opportunity. He's somebody who could also move into that outside role. But that nickel spot is still not addressed. Duke Shelley, somebody should be able to step in there. They got some nice depth pieces as well, but I don't think the position is at all solved. And when you're talking about getting rid of a Pro Bowl level talent like Kyle Fuller and the defense taking a drop off in terms of overall talent, they have to address that nickel position well.
All right, and Chris, obviously we're all excited for the fans to be back this season. How much are you just in general looking forward to maybe hopefully a more normal 2021 season?
I mean, it's been all that's on my mind. Look, it was weird last year. It was obviously so much different. It goes without saying. I mean, you were at the games. It's just a different atmosphere when there's a touchdown scored and it's a couple players on the benches cheering instead of a sellout crowd. I'm going to miss the atmosphere. I'm going to miss, the tailgating scene before the games, the anticipation that goes into a big game. The Bears have a number of primetime games here this season. The excitement that goes into packing up Soldier Field with the Packers or the Vikings coming to town, the big game atmosphere that you get in Chicago for these contests, it's something that you couldn't replicate last season without fans. We're closer to normal. We made it, we're the stretch run of this thing. It's nice to look to the fall as kind of a different level here. I think it's going to be a lot of excitement back in Soldier Field.
Yeah, and fans obviously excited. More excited, I think, now for the schedule release, knowing that they can be back at the stadium. Where can those same fans check out your work and your write-ups on the Bears schedule?
Yeah, I got my breakdown of the schedule, my 5 takeaways and all that and more, 670thescore.com. And then head into rookie minicamp. Big weekend at Hallis Hall. A lot of excitement with this rookie class. So plenty to cover here. It's May. It's the off season, but there's a lot on our plates here. So excited to be around covering this.
Yeah, and thanks again to Chris Emma for taking the time to talk Bears with us on a fun night. And speaking of that fun, reactions to the Bears schedule pouring in on social media this evening, but we wanted to get your opinion on a few key topics. Number one, probably the most important, how many games will the Bears win this season? 11 or more, remember, out of 17 games this year. 21% of you said that. 9 or 10 is 24%. 7 or 8 leading the way at 32%. So more than half of you think the Bears will have a losing record this year, as 6 or fewer is at 21%. The second question will probably be related to that that first one. We asked you when you think Justin Fields will get to start his first game. Week 1 at 29%. Week 2 through 4 is second in that, or leads that poll, at 34%. Week 5 or later at 29%. Not at all this season, which I don't think is going to happen. Only 8%. And finally, will starting Justin Fields or Andy Dalton affect which games you buy tickets for? Will you maybe wait for later in the season? 58% of you say yes, 28% no. Just glad to be at a game, period, is 14%. Well, how fast Justin Fields can get ready is going to be one of the fun things to watch this spring and summer leading up to the season, and that is obviously going to play a huge role in how this team fares on the field. We talked about it with Chris Emma, but I would be stunned if we don't see Justin Fields on the field at some point this year. My guess is sooner rather than later. Either way, it should make for a very interesting Bears season, one that we will, of course, be covering for you here on CBS and Chicago and on CBS 2, and we'll have more Bears schedule release coverage for you tonight at 10 as well. Thank you very much for watching.